A story from Torah. It's a family story, complicated, painful. Avraham Avinu, Abraham, our patriarch, lives with his wife Sarah Imanu, Sarah, our matriarch. Years earlier, when Sarah thought she could not have children, she gave her servant Hagar to Abraham so that he may have a child through her.
We had a boy. We named him Ishmael.
But then Sarah eventually had her own son too, Isaac. So Sarah told Abraham, "Send Hagar and Ishmael away." Maybe she feared for Isaac's safety, or for his share of the inheritance, or for the covenant's future. Or maybe old wound with Hagar had simply broken open.
Now, Abraham loved Ishmael, but God told him to listen to Sarah. So early one morning, Abraham gave me bread and a skin of water and sent us out into the wilderness.
It is unsettling. Sarah asking to send Hagar and Ishmael away, Abraham agreeing, and God affirming her words. Yet the Torah invites us to stay with the story because even here, blessing will find a way in.
We walked on. The desert sun burned, each step heavier than the last, until eventually our water ran out. I looked over at my child, how hot, hungry, and faded he was. I could not protect him. I could not save him. But I could not bear to watch him die. So I lay him down under a small bush and turned away. My lips were cracked, my skin burned, my heart heavy with helplessness. And I wept.
God heard her cry. God heard the cry. But the Torah does not say God heard her cry. It says God heard the cry of the boy. Why? Maybe it's because God's ear leans toward the most vulnerable, the ones who cannot speak for themselves, whose breath is shallow, whose voices are barely a whisper against the wind. Maybe it's because in that moment, the boy's survival is Hagar's survival. To answer his call is to answer hers. Or maybe it's a reminder for us that even when our own cries feel unheard, God might be listening through us, calling us to notice someone else's need, so we can be the hands that lift them, so all of us can live.
Just then, when the heat was the hottest and the air felt like it was closing in, I heard the voice of God saying,
"Do not be afraid. Go to Ishmael. Lift him by the hand, for I will make of him a great nation."
Every part of me wanted to collapse in the dust. But those words soaked into my spirit like rain in cracked earth. I turned to my boy. I took his hand. It was burning hot. His breath was shallow, but he was alive. So I lifted him up, and in the lifting, I was lifted too.
And then Torah says, "Vatisa et eineha," She lifted up her eyes, not to a distant horizon, but to...
And there, it was hidden all along. What I saw, a well, in plain sight.
It is not so hidden. Vatisa et eneha. Lift your eyes. The well is here.
I stumbled forward, my hands shaking as I drew water from the deep. Cool water splashed my arms. I drank until the dust in my mouth became hope in my bones. I brought water to Ishmael's lips. He drank until the desert inside him was gone. And we lived.
Traditionally, the first day of Rosh Hashanah brings us this story in Torah of Hagar and Ishmael. The second day holds the binding, the almost sacrifice, the Akedah of Isaac. Over time, Reformed congregations brought that second story forward to the first day. But this year, we return to the ancient rhythm. We listen to Hagar's journey again, to hear what her wilderness might whisper to ours, what hidden sustenance it might help us see, what strength might be waiting just beyond our sight. It's a different drama, a different test, an important truth. Because maybe, just maybe, this is the story we need right now. Because maybe this is our story too. We are a people walking through a world that feels hotter, harsher, less forgiving, where kindness feels rarer, where the ground is shifting under our feet, where every day brings new headlines, new hurts, new reasons to wonder, are we headed in the right direction? We are tired of bracing for the next blow. We are thirsty for truth we can trust, for hope that does not evaporate in the heat of the day. Some of us are worn down by personal grief or by illness. Some feel the ache of loneliness or of fractured relationship, financial pressures, or the weight of worries too heavy to bear. Some see a rising meanness in public life, a tearing down rather than a building up. Some are anxious about the future of our country, uncertain if cherished values will endure. Anti-Semitism seeps like a slow leak into streets and onto our screens. Allies grow quiet, enemies grow loud. Some fear for Israel's safety. Some fear for Israel's soul. Some fear for both at once. All of this takes a toll on our spirits, leaving us feeling parched and worn. And we know thirst is not only a metaphor. In our world right now, there are those, our people, Hagar's descendants, and countless others, whose thirst is real, whose hunger is not poetic but painfully physical. In Israel, across Africa, in Gaza, across this nation, in corners of the world we rarely consider, bellies are aching and lips are cracked from want. Torah teaches us that God hears the cry of the child, all children, and God hears us and calls us to hear it too, to let those cries pierce our hearts and move our hands to act. And our Jewish tradition commands to notice suffering wherever it exists, even when the solutions are complicated, even when the politics are painful. Because when the moral compass spins so fast like a dreidel in the desert wind, no one knows whether we will win or lose, rise or fall. All of it leaves us wandering in our own wilderness, worried, wondering, where is the well? Where is the source that will sustain us? Our ancestors once asked that same question, wandering through a wilderness with no water in sight. Thankfully, they had Miriam to guide them.
As our people wandered in the wilderness, a miraculous well traveled with us. They called it Miriam's well, my well, not because I dug it, but because I had faith to lift my eyes, Vatisa et Eneha, and see what others could not. Wherever we wandered, I guided our people to its waters so they could quench their thirst, be strengthened, and keep moving forward. While I lived, its waters flowed in our midst. My people were never parched. But when I died, the well seemed lost because our people had forgotten how to reclaim their inheritance and where to unearth the well that flowed with God's blessing.
And that's why some of us place a Miriam's cup on our Passover Seder table, to honor the one who kept us from thirst, and to remind us that blessing can follow unseen until the very moment we need it most. Isn't it something that in our Jewish tradition, there are two great wells in the wilderness?
One for me, Hagar, the mother of the Arab people, whose eyes were opened by God to see the water that would save my son, and through him, my people.
And one for me, Miriam, mother and leader of the Jewish people, whose eyes were lifted to notice God's gift, so I could share it with all who sought it.
Two mothers, two nations, two wells in the wilderness, both gifts from the same source of life, hidden sometimes, yet always there. Vatisa et Eneha. Lift your eyes. The well is here. At times like these, when the days feel harsher and the air hotter, when the news drains our hope and struggles sap our strength, we need a well, a place to drink deeply, to quench the thirst in our souls, to be renewed. Well, we have that well. It's our Torah and Jewish tradition, our stories and our songs, the wisdom and the ways handed down the Dor Vador through the generations. So this is our challenge, to return to the well of our people and drink deeply from that which has always sustained us, to re-embrace the rituals that root us, re-engage with the stories that shape us, allow our souls to be nourished by their living waters, and reinvigorated to protect and strengthen our people and its future, and still to open our hands to offer water to others.
When I, Hagar, lifted my eyes, Vatisa et Eneha, I saw the well.
When I, Miriam, lifted my eyes, Vatisa et Eneha, I found the well that was there all along.
Let us lift our eyes, Vatisa et Eneha, to rediscover the wells that sustained our ancestors, not wells of stone and water, but of Torah and mitzvot, ritual and song. Let us drink deeply from the holiness of Shabbat, the power of prayer, the wrestling with Torah, the sacred sustaining work of chesed, of loving kindness. It will quench our thirst, shape our souls, and give us the strength we need to wander in the wilderness soon to come. What we need to do is quite simple. Vatisa et Eneha. Lift your eyes. The well is here. So yes, the headlines will still howl, and those haters will still hiss. And the air, it may stay heavy, and hope might feel amiss. But the well is right here, and its waters still flow. If we drink deeply, our strength then will grow. So if your soul feels parched, the well is here. Come to Shabbat services. Let prayer draw you near. And if your spirit feels dry, the well too is here. Like candles at home, let their glow bring you cheer. And if your hope feels faint, the well is right here. Open up the Torah, let its wisdom reappear. Taste the teachings of the Torah that have carried us through every wilderness, every challenge that our people ever knew. So lift up your eyes, my friends, the well is right here. Drink deeply, share blessing, let its timeless wisdom conquer your fear. For this is the water that nourished our kin and will carry us forward again and again. Shema Kolenu, may God hear our voices call, to guide us, sustain us, to be near us all. And may we be brave as we live through our fear, as we lift up our eyes, for the well is right here. Friends, vatisa et eineha, lift your eyes, the well is here. Vatisa et eineha, lift up your eyes, for the well is right here. Shana